Right. Hello, everyone. This is the group Sharding sync meeting for the US-friendly time zones that also overlaps with parts of Europe, but is not good for people in APAC. So here we are. The summary from the earlier meeting. Welcome, Omar, for, I think, our newest team member. So please set up coffee chats with him to get to know him a little bit better. Yeah, you want to at least quickly say hi again? You don't have to do the entire spiel that you did in the morning, I think.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I think I met more people in this meeting than in the previous one. There's new people like Patrick. Feel free to reach out to me anytime if you want to have a chat or if you want to know me. I also want to know everyone more. Yeah, that's it from it. I think there's a weird sound from my neighbor who has chosen the worst time to do some construction now. Yeah, that's it from my side.
Thank you. By the way, Omar, your microphone probably not connected well. Your voice volume is low.
Okay, anyways, maybe that's a sound. Yeah, maybe that's a sound also. But yeah.
Yeah, you can tweak it later. Okay, welcome again.
Awesome. Well, welcome back, Camille. After a well-deserved holiday, we quickly discussed what Camille should do. He knows what to do now, so he will do exactly that. Details are below. We also quickly reviewed a question that was to do with infrastructure's priorities, because that came up. I think for now, the most important thing is to get the CI production cluster deployed. I think that is important, because without that, we can't go to production. So we feel that that's the most important thing to do. And depending on the bandwidth of the people involved, testing the PG bouncer for phase 4, is the next thing. Maybe that can be parallelized a little bit. That depends, I think, mostly on infrastructure. We're rolling out loose foreign key fair queuing. I think that's actually ongoing. So Adam is doing that. And then I shared a bit of reading that I think is quite interesting. There'll be a product management book club probably, but for those that are interested otherwise, a good article about people being non-fungible and team topologies. So that's that. Number 2 is for Chan.
Yeah, number 2. Actually, I have a question for number 1C. Actually, I told infrastructure, if you recall, in the stand-up on Monday, I told infrastructure that PG bouncer is the immediate priority for infrastructure, but something like the production CI cluster is more important. So shall I just, we have a stand-up today in about 30 minutes, so I can change that to say that this is a more higher priority. I mean, the CI cluster deployment in production, but I can see they are working in parallel.
Yeah, I think my impression from the outside is they're doing exactly the right thing. They're working in parallel on it. So I'm not sure there's any need to do anything now. We're not blocked. So like, I'm not sure if I would overthrow statements in the fear of causing more confusion, but okay. I think that is that's what came out of the morning.
Okay, I will just stand up, keep 2 items there, and just touch base on the progress, and won't repeat again which one is more important, and unless they have a question.
Yes, and I think the Nathan is working on the CI production cluster, and I think that's at least what I see from the updates. I think that's good.
Another person, I don't recall the name. Right? The first name starts from R. I think that person is working on the PG bouncer.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. The number 2, by the way, the number 2, number 2 item I have is just a question. So the CI cluster or phase 3 production deployment, that looks like the CI cluster will be available on the 25th. That's roughly about 2 weeks later than initially planned. So my question is that 2 weeks delay, exactly 2 week delay to the overall timeline? The reason I don't think that is the case, because our staging and the production, deployment are 2 work streams. They are not exactly coupled to each other. I mean, they are, but what I see is our phase 4 staging can still move on and is independent on the phase 3 production deployment. So we can continue our schedule for phase 4 staging deployment. And then when the phase 3 production deployment is ready, it's kind of in parallel. So it's not exactly a day-for-day delay if the production phase 3 production deployment is delayed.
Camille, you want to take it? Otherwise, I can talk over it.
Please, if you have.
Okay, you can just correct me if I'm wrong. That's your job. So I think you're correct, Jun, that we have the phases apply to staging and to production. So we roughly have a 2-week burn-in for each phase in staging. And so we can continue with that, even if the production cluster is not available. But if the production cluster is 2 weeks late, it means that we can start the phased rollout on production 2 weeks later. And unless we're willing to reduce the burn-in time of these phases in production, it will essentially mean 2 weeks longer until we are going to sort of finish the deployment. Because at least that's my understanding. Sort of a later production cluster available means, we can start the rollout later, which would then mean a delay.
I see your point. Yeah. So basically, the production work stream actually is delayed. That contributes to the overall timeline.
Yeah, because we consider the end of the project when we've delivered a decomposed database in production.
Mm-hmm.
That is when we say we claim success. Beforehand, it's on staging. It may run there for a longer time.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my understanding. Camille, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. We need enough time of each phase running in the production. And right now we are being delayed by being able to run phase 3 in production. So we're gonna pursue phase rollout on staging on its own timeline, which kind of increase our confidence in production being successful, but we still need time in the production before we can proceed to another stage. So optimization here is we do whatever we can do on staging to not identify inconsistencies, bugs, and fix them ahead of the production. And hopefully production, we will not discover anything new that would block us from further moving with our phase rollout. But we still need time, a few weeks of each phase running in production before we can proceed to have this confidence.
Okay, so ideally, we still want to finish phase 3 production, baking the 2-week baking time before proceeding or before entering the phase 4 staging deployment.
Yeah, I think in other words, I think what Camille is saying is we can compress the time, but then we increase the risk. And I think we're not super confident by skipping a phase or reducing it a lot further, even though we may see more things in staging, there's still a burn-in time that is required for comfort.
Yeah.
That being said, and I think this is important here for me, from my perspective, if I look at what infrastructure is doing deploying the production cluster, from the outside, it looks as if they're taking this very seriously. Like they're really going through this and they're treating it as the way they should, as a proper, cluster that would need to be maintained and SREs and like with all the bells and whistles. And I think, like, I'm not sure how much we can compress the timeline with sort of forcing them to compromise on the quality there either, which will then bite us later on. Has bitten us once, like where they discovered I think the operating system versions were not correct, right? So I'm also very interested in having a reliable, maintainable CI production cluster, because otherwise it's going to create a lot of problems down the line as well.
Yeah, totally. This is critical. We need to deploy the right, the right configuration in the production. Everything else, I mean, later stages will depend on this cluster. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So like infrastructure side, I think like we don't really have a room to compromise on that. Maybe when we start deploying phases and it goes better than we anticipating in the average scenario, maybe this is where we compress that, but I guess it's 50-50 if we be able or not. So I think like deploying phase 3 in the production is really like the crucial point, because it's really the first time that we really get a significant portion of our changes into production. It didn't happen yet. So application was not yet dependent on any significant changes. So I think there is really hard to say if there is like a way to compress this timeline. Maybe later when we see that things are going significantly better, but right now I think we are going, I guess, average case, not pessimistic nor optimistic, the average case.
Yeah. Thank you for the information. Yeah, I'm clear. Thanks for helping me understand the timeline thing. Yeah, that's all I had.
Cool. Well, I'm very excited to have Omar in the team. That's really cool. And I'm also excited to have Camille back so I can pester him for coffee chats now. So yeah, have a good rest of your week.